Blackfoot Communications is actively supporting the communities we serve across Montana and Idaho. We are installing hundreds of miles of fiber in our service territories, increasing the broadband experience in our rural communities. We are delivering remote workforce solutions for our business communities. We are creating new, innovative solutions for our local entrepreneurs and enterprise organizations. Learn how your company can benefit. Call today at 541-5000 or go to blackfootbusiness.com. Blackfoot Communications. Connect to more.
How would you guys just describe what was different out there today compared to Thursday?
I think that we just didn't bring the defensive intensity that we had on Thursday. Everyone wasn't really talking to each other. Just kind of our defensive principles were worse, especially because they scored 80 points and someone.
Yeah, guys. I just muted everybody. If you're not talking, if you could just mute yourself, so then we don't get any background noise.
My bad though. I just felt like our defensive principles weren't the same as how they were on Thursday. And, their magic number was 80. Like once they touched 80, that, they won most of their games or almost all of their games. So we were just trying to limit them to that, but clearly it didn't happen.
Is there any, like you guys have been really good on Thursdays and not as good on Saturdays. Is that just been happenstance, or like, do you have any explanation for that? It's been, a little weird.
No, I just think it's hard. Like Weber State's a really good team. It's hard to beat a good team twice, no matter where you are. But I just don't think that we have all the energy as we do like on Thursdays and stuff like that, whether that be, one day of rest compared to the other 4 days we have during practice, or I really couldn't tell you.
For you guys, I guess, so offensively, this is 2 straight games with 80 points. We talked a little bit on Thursday, Cam, just about the ball movement, things working, things like that. But I guess question for both of you, offensively, is that something you guys can take away? Is this that, you guys, this is against a good Weber State team. You guys, put up some of your best season numbers offensively.
I think we're starting to figure it out as a team offensively. We're starting like our big thing is like attacking together. I don't know. We're just getting good looks that we want. We're really sharing the ball. And, yeah, that's pretty much it. We're putting the ball in the hoop when we get open looks.
I think this is like your guys' 5th split of the season. Just how much does it motivate you going into the next series to not have another split?
I would say it motivates us every series, honestly. Like even after the first split, we lost to Southern Utah both times. So after that, we were already motivated from the start. But yeah, we need 2 wins definitely in a row. You could tell it's kind of like to us. So yeah, we definitely need 2 wins, and it's upsetting.
Question for either of you two. I think it was late midway second half. Weber went on that 6-0 run. They ended up leading anywhere from 4 to 9 points. What changed for them from that point on that just made it hard to, take the lead again?
Like Cam said, like earlier, it's like our intensity. We just weren't the same. And it kind of showed off in like the second half. When like one of the big things we were working on were like finding the ball, finding the catches and stuff like that. So when they started getting like easy catches, they started getting more confident, and then that started giving them like the energy they needed.
Yeah, that's what I would say too.
There was they shot almost 30 free throws. You guys shot almost, they made 30 free throws. I think you guys made 21. Was this game just more physical than others, or was it just?
I don't know if it was just more physical, because to me personally, it seemed like we were kind of like both teams were being physical the first game as well. Maybe they kind of like surpassed us a little bit being like physical, but I don't know. I think there was a little too many like touchy fouls, like more than we wanted. So that kind of like slowed us down a little bit, I would say.
And I think, you know, once you play a team the second time, you kind of know what their strengths and weaknesses are. So it could be easier to attack the basket knowing where other guys are going to be and knowing, you know, where guys go on defense, if that makes sense.
Hey guys, all year Isaiah Brown has been kind of the catalyst for Weber State. You guys shut him down Thursday. You got it going tonight. What sort of difference does that make for Weber State's offense when he gets it going?
Yeah, he's a really good player. You know, he's one of the top point guards in the league. You know, it just makes him a lot harder to guard because he's the guy that runs the offense, runs the program, everything like that offensively. So it sucked that we couldn't contain him tonight, but then you could just see how much better that made Weber just because he was in the flow of things and he was doing well from the start versus when we were actually contesting and, you know, kind of in his body a little bit more on Thursday. It made it harder for Weber to adjust offensively because that's the go-to guy.
And Josh, next week, Eastern Washington. I know that Cam hasn't played in that rivalry, but pretty heated games last year against Eastern Washington. So what do you expect next week?
I just think we gotta pick up from what we did these two games. I want to say it's going to be a little bit similar where we gotta, you know, take it to them and be pretty physical, and just I don't know. It's another really good team, so we gotta really put two and two together so we can try to come out with a sweep. We need one back.
Josh, you only had 5 points in the first game, and tonight you had 17. Were you just getting different looks from their defense, or maybe your numbers called a little more?
I'm not really sure. I just, you know, when the ball comes to me and it's open, I know these guys are going to find me. And I think I got a little bit more open tonight. So, you know, I was just more confident in myself and knocking down.
Cam, I know on Thursday you had 6 assists. Didn't quite match that today. Particularly in the second half, not throughout the whole game. How hard was it to move the ball around? Because it looked like, especially in the paint, they were playing that really tough zone defense, and it was hard to get some movement going.
Yeah, you said I had 6 assists. On the stat sheet, it says I had 7. So,
I guess I was thinking of first half. Never mind.
Not bad. I don't know how many assists I had first half. How many did I have? If you just.
You talking about Thursday or today?
Well, I guess what was your question now? Because you said that I had less assists than I had, you know, in the game. So.
Well, I guess what I mean to ask is how hard was it in the second half to move the ball around? Because it looked like it was pretty tough to get something going, like whenever you guys were kind of trying to drive there in the second half.
Just when they help more defensively, and it's honestly gets harder when offensively when we're just not passing it as much. So when guys are stagnant, you know, it's just guys attacking off 1 pass, 2 passes. It's harder to get assists versus when we're all moving the ball and, you know, they're closing out and stuff like that. Everyone's flying. But, I mean, I had 7 today, and I wouldn't consider 7 bad. I'm sad about the loss, of course, but, yeah.
For you guys, you mentioned some of that intensity in the second game of these series where maybe it's down a little bit, especially defensively. Is that, you know, maybe a byproduct of just more of the growing pains of this team kind of getting used to each other? Is that where that comes from? Or because, you know, a lot of you guys are kind of used to this 2 games in 3 days. Like what, I guess, how can you kind of explain some of that?
I don't know. It's kind of hard to explain because I think that we're kind of far enough along where we kind of know what we want defensively. But it's just a couple breakdowns here and there and the tough stretches where we just can't have them. And that kind of I don't want to say brings us down, but it kind of does. And I just think we just got to fix those couple things and we'll be good. It's kind of like this little roller coaster we've been on, and we just got to just know how to keep going downhill with wins. So.
Yeah, I would just say the consistency part of it and, you know, just staying as dialed in as you were for the start of the week as you are to the end of the week. You know, they just make adjustments and stuff like that. But I agree with Josh. We only have 2-3 more series left. So we can't just keep saying we're a young team or, you know, we haven't figured it out yet because we played enough games at this point to where coach shouldn't be reminding us, you know, the simple things we do in practice every day.
Successful 80 minutes are hard to come by right now in conference. But really, in all due respect to Weber State, they're on the top of the standings for a reason. They're a good basketball team. They responded. very well and made some really good adjustments in today's game. And we just had a hard time with those adjustments.
Trev, what adjustments did they specifically make?
We pressured them out of their offense. We forced a lot of turnovers. We didn't let the ball go side to side. And so today they didn't really even try to go side to side. They just threw it inside and drew a lot of fouls.
When Isaiah Brown gets it going, how much different does that make Weber State offensively?
A lot. I mean, they have multiple guys that can get it going, right? Porter could have been that guy as well. And so in a close game like what we had today, one of those guys gets going late, you're in trouble. And that's pretty much what happened is their low post guys controlled the game. And then he kind of took over when it mattered most down the stretch.
Coach,
last question for me. You guys are I think 5-1 on Thursdays and haven't won a league game on Saturdays. Is that just a product of the schedule right now? Or I guess what do you need to do to have a breakthrough in the second game of a series?
You just got to keep grinding. We've got a very inexperienced basketball team. And so when you play someone twice in less than 48 hours, the game is never going to be the same as it was the first time. And so now you're making adjustments, but you don't know what adjustments they made because there's no film of watching them play 6 or 7 more games and then play them again. And so the team that can handle change on the fly the most is going to be the team that's successful. And right now, we're just too inexperienced with that. And we've shown signs of getting better, but just not good enough right now with it.
Coach, we saw 40 bench points today, and guys like Mac and Cam had some good contributions. Just what can you say about what you've seen from your bench recently?
Guys have stayed ready with some of the change in rotation and things like that. Sometimes the guys off the bench are guys that have started games for us too, but I think the guys that aren't starting are doing a good job of seeing what's going on and being ready for their turn and coming in and making plays. But, Cam's played well all year. And Mac is always giving us some spark when he comes in. So I would never expect anything less from those two.
Coach, kind of touching on what Coulter asked about Isaiah Brown, kind of when he started picking up was when Weber had that 6-0 run. And from that point on, they never lost the lead. For you guys, what changed once they really started to trail away from there?
They made shots and we didn't. They got foul calls and we didn't. In all honesty, right? They got some open threes, made them. We didn't. They got to the paint and shot shots and got to the free throw line. We didn't.
Kind of touching on that, I know some of those calls, I know you didn't look too happy about that. What were the calls like today versus what you saw on Thursday? Did it kind of make a difference, today versus Thursday?
Thursday's game was a lot more physical. And there were a lot of 50-50 calls that the whistle just didn't blow, whether they were contests at the rim or whatnot. And we kind of played through them. There was today, no one played through any of that. We walled a lot of shots, contested a lot of things around the basket and continued to play. That didn't happen today, but they were shooting different shots. They were posting up mostly. So I need to watch film to see. I just know that they shot a lot of free throws. And at one point, that it was very unbalanced and it kind of balanced out later. But maybe they just were more aggressive. I don't know.
We've talked about, the balance that you have and there's a lot of guys that can score and pop up and have good games. But on the flip side of that, it's not always the same every time. So you can't necessarily rely on the same number of guys every single game. Does that make it challenging at all for you as a coach?
No, not on the offensive end. We scored 82 points. You should win. Our issue is the inconsistency on the defensive end, one-on-one and hustle plays. If we get more defensive rebounds and come up with more loose balls on the defensive end, they get fewer opportunities and maybe we score 90 and win.
Kind of like individual victories you can take from a game to go back-to-back games scoring 80 points against a team like Weber State. Does that give you a lot of faith in your offense, seeing it feels like you guys have turned a corner there in terms of ball movement, shot taking, things like that?
Yeah. Their style of defense is a little different than everyone else's. They're an offensive-minded team. They don't play a lot of guys. And so, you know, that really wasn't our concern going to this series. It was more, could we play 80 minutes defensively? And to beat teams that score like this, you got to defend. You got to hold them to the 60s or 70s. And we just weren't able to do that today.
That's kind of what Josh and Cam said, is just, you know, intensity defensively. They didn't feel like it was as high today as it was Thursday. Is that kind of what you saw? And maybe, again, it's part of that growing aspect of that 2 games in 3 days with this group?
Yeah, we got into them defensively. We pressured them out of things. We just made it very difficult for them to run offense and get the shots they wanted. And today they got the shot they wanted almost every time down the floor, it felt like.